Welcome, everyone, to the wonderful selection panel. I am joined by my regular and new co-host, but to the left of me, I've got the great man, Big Terry Degani from Blue Abroad. How are you doing, Tez?
I'm ready, mate. I'm ready to go.
You're ready. I like it. And next to him is Birthday Boy. Tell you what, I might see if anyone can guess how old he is in the chat, but we've got the great man himself, Big Ian Brownie. Here on his birthday, he could be out in the casino, but instead he's with us.
Oh, have to be here for this one. It's a good show and nice to spend it with some lovely Carlton people. It's a weird time to chat Carlton, but what better time to do it, you know?
Hey, mate, we're glad to have you here. And just below me, we've got, don't be confused, it's not the Mikel Arteta. And Gary and Adrian actually know your age. It's you're one off 27. We've got the wonderful Paolo, not Mikel Arteta, but he's doing his Mikel Arteta impression.
Good evening. Happy birthday, Ian.
Thanks, mate.
Very, very happy birthday. Auguri, as we say in Italian. Hope you're all doing well. I am very much looking forward to this edition of the selection panel. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, and we finish with everyone's favourite dog, Lake Dog. How are you doing, mate?
I'm well, mate. Excited to be here. Gonna axe a few players. It'll be good.
Yeah.
Well, we've just had a $15 donation from the legend that is Glenn for the baggers. Thank you very much, Glenn. You are a legend. And I did, just before we start this, I did want to address, we did a big show last week and this week on Monday. And
yes,
there's been some rumours that there's been some flip-flopping and backtracking. And there is some horrendous accusations about some of the members of my great panel that they've sold out and they've become corporate shills. So
yeah,
I have got an announcement. We do now have a sponsorship of this channel. So it's totally unrelated, but just to honour the contract, here we go. Back in the day, the Blues, just like us here at Penfold Wines, were Australia's leaders in excellence, decency and taste. But then we lost our way. But like the Carlton Blues, we're back. Penfold's Wines, Cab Sav range. Try our new Blues edition, Cab Sav. It's like wiping your bottom with silk. Penfold Wines. Come, take a load off.
That's some of your finest work, Pommy. Was that all good, Luke? Was that all good, Luke? Okay, thanks, mate.
Brian, Cook, if you're watching, Blue in the Hyundai.
$1 million at the winery, boys. Let's go, baby.
It was a big one.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, just to confirm, no one is being paid off. And that was a parody before you come in my DMs and slate me. But let's get straight in to the teams. And this was the team last week that faced the Lions. Obviously, there was a few issues, let's be honest, post-game. But, Terry, I'll start with you. Who's got me on Echo?
I don't know. Somebody does.
But,
it's not me.
Terry, to start with you, what was your take out of the team related? Is there anyone that you felt was at risk? Is there anyone when you watched the game probably could have given us a bit more who wasn't in the side? What did you take out of the game from a selection fitting?
There's a lot that were in the side that could have given us more, I thought. And there's a few of them that didn't play that can probably add a little bit. Start with Newman. When I did my team this week, I'm going to assume that he's going to be suspended. Now, if that's not the case, that'll change. So there's that. I think Josh Honey's had a good crack at the role, the Matt Owies role. I think the question will come up tonight about whether or not you bring Matt Owies in straight away. You'll have my answer shortly. And then the other one, I know Hollands is a conversation, but the other one for me is Kennedy. I'm missing something about Kennedy. There's some bit of information that I don't know as to why he's not playing. Is it strictly his body? Is it form? I don't know. But they're the three in my mind. But that's not to say that there were other players in this side that didn't give us enough. And I think one of the challenges this week is, I mean, we're talking about leaders. I think all three of our leaders, our vice captain and our captain, probably didn't give us as much as what I would have liked. So, yeah, tough. But I don't know if you can drop the captains. Maybe I'm too soft.
Well, that's what we're here for, and we've got the chat as well to help us as the coach. But Ian, what were your thoughts on the team? Was there anything that stood out to you?
Oh, I mean, and Terry nailed it. Probably the real obvious one was just Kennedy. Like that, I'm baffled as to why he's behind certain people in there, and you just see the impact he had as the sub. Maybe that's a tick for Voss saying, like, look how good the sub was, but I think we probably could have used that throughout the rest of the game. Apart from that, like, I mean, you look at the performance and it was kind of, I know this is a selection show where we kind of really narrow focus onto individuals, but it was a really letdown. I think just collectively, there wasn't a lot of guys that can hold their head up with it. So as far as selection for that game, there probably weren't too many changes I would have made earlier on, but now that we've probably got a few more guys getting a few games in the twos, I'll be definitely looking to get rid of some of the underperformers.
Mate, I think you've nailed it. And Lackdog, we know you're the team's man. What did you think of the team, and where did you feel like it was lacking?
I thought there was a few interesting decisions. Ed Curnow remaining in the side, Kennedy not being in there. But one thing that did work for me, Pom, I quite liked, they ran Sam Doherty. They named him in the forward line, and they ran him off that forward line into the midfield at times to impact centre bounces. I thought that was really good. The only issue is that we probably lacked a bit of speed coming out of defence. So I think there's room for someone to do that role, and I've sort of flagged a couple of guys in my team that can do that, because I thought that did work. So I thought that was one thing that worked from team selection last week.
And we've only been doing the show 7 minutes, and someone's mentioned speed. So thank you very much for that, Doggy. Did you know what I mean? But we finished with, obviously, he looks like he's got a bit of coaching experience. Paolo,
yes,
I actually like you in that garb, just FYI.
Thank you. I might don it for the rest of the season, shall I? With my beautiful range of Penfolds downstairs in the cellar.
I'm scared to drink wine just in case anyone snaps it and uses it as a conspiracy. So, Paolo, the team, what did you think of it? Let me know.
The team selection I thought was okay, aside from Kennedy. I thought we would have got, I think what the boys are saying, I thought we would have got a lot more output from them. But I think for me, the Warriors is that I worry that there are the only maybe 2 or 3 players that could come in that could maybe improve us a little bit, which we'll get onto, Kennedy, Cottrell and Owis. But aside from that, I don't think there were really any excuses for the team that went out there. So that's the worrying sign for me.
It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, I'm with you all. I didn't really have any issues with it, apart from maybe Kennedy's sub. But that was my pre-game. But it feels like there's cohesion missing, doesn't it? It felt like it was the first time 22 blokes had ever played together.
Yeah. Yeah, felt that way.
And that's the issue. But, I mean, chat have been quite adamant. We've got Gaz here. He's dropping honey. But I thought you hit the nail on the head. What's coming in? Because at the moment, what's coming in is kind of a little bit if, buts and maybes, isn't it? It's that hard thing, but we've heard everyone's explanations. Let's look and pick on a coach. And we're picking on birthday boy, Ian. So, Ian, you've told us what you thought. Tell us what you're thinking with this team selection. Let us know the psyche of your suggestion here. And chat, any questions for Ian? Throw it in there.
Yeah, well, look, there might be a big omission that may be the talking point of my team, but I'll go through it pretty simply as far as my changes to the team. With Newman out, I want to replace that with a defender that we don't have in that mix at the moment. It's going to be Jordan Boyd. That's probably the next best that we do have that can add some run out of that defense. We know he's good with ball in hand and can use it by foot, which I think we're struggling with, someone that wants to take the game on. So I think that helps that defensive dynamic. I've taken out Ed Curnow. I'm not sure he's offering enough for us in that half forward. It's probably been a big issue for us, that connection mid forward and where these guys are in the ground. And so I've looked to bring in Matty Cottrell to bring that running and kind of help rotate on the wing. I was close to wanting to give Hollins a rest, but I kind of wanted to see what it would be like with the three of them being able to rotate and have Cottrell up there on that high half forward. Other one is always straight in for Honey. Don't think I need to say much on that one. It's clear that always is a better player to get him in. And then the big interesting decision I think I've made to this team is obviously Kennedy's come in, but I've kind of needed someone to shift out because I wanted the others also into this team. And like Lekdog mentioned, I loved the idea of a Doherty in that midfield and I kind of don't mind him in that half forward role as well, experimenting there and trying to get more output from it and to try and keep those rotations. Obviously I brought in Boyd, so I've had to get rid of a midfielder to keep Kennedy in, and it's George Hewitt, which is maybe a little too harsh, and I'm keen to get everyone's thoughts on it. I'm just kind of going off the midfield mix that we have at the minute and seeing if you can add a bit more dynamics to it. And I think that Kennedy's form at the moment deserves a chance. I haven't been in love with George Hewitt just yet, but he's sort of, with my extended bench there, probably going to be my sub in that Kennedy role for a week, just to test this midfield, see how it works with Doherty in there a little bit more. But I think going forward, Hewitt should be in there with that mix, but I kind of want to see it just with the numbers we've got in there at the moment. But so that's my reasoning. Keen to hear your thoughts and questions.
Mate, I love it. Great question here. I'm going to throw this at each of the selection panel, but Young was subbed late last game, and was that maybe an indication? Because I take it exactly like Bugspell. Is the backline too tall, do you think, when Kemp and McGovern? Was that... Because I actually do think, for what it's worth, it did seem to move a little bit better out there. It just was executed poorly. Is that something that you're thinking and watching this space, Ian?
It's an interesting one. And I think the key backs in Wiedering and Young definitely have had issues. I think they're just so slow moving the ball, and the indecision, I think, is hurting us, and they're big proponents of that. So I think there's always issues and potential for those guys to come out of the team. I just kind of want to see what the mix is like again, and maybe that's a bad way to look at it, but I just kind of want to give that day as a bad performance for a lot of them. But it's an interesting point to say that, do we look better potentially with him out of there? Can Kemp play a bit more of the intercept role in McGovern lockdown? I don't know. I think if Durden, Sam Durden, that is, was available, I'd maybe have more scope to drop one of those guys. But I'm not sure we have the key defensive stocks at the moment to make too many big moves. But it's an interesting one.
Any questions, gentlemen, on the panel?
Just a note on that tall thing. I know Gov and Kemp are tall, but they don't really play on talls, if that makes sense. Yeah. So whilst we look tall, even with Cowan's tall as well. So I'm comfortable with the back line for the moment. But yes, it is something I've noted for sure.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions on the team selection of Ian that you want to barb in for a bit?
I don't know if it's just me, but I can't see the team, by the way.
I can.
I've got it.
Okay, it must just be me.
The one I wanted to ask about, and I think we will get onto it, the smalls. Motlop or Durden. I mean, it's... God, both have been... both have been pretty underwhelming this season, I'd have thought. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
They haven't been grouse, have they?
Oh, fucking ghosts.
I think it's just been systematic of the whole forward line. Like, I'm not sure many have really, apart from always, looked good down there. And I don't know if it needs to be a few of them go out and get more form in the twos, or what the right balance is. That's the big question. Does anyone have kind of a bit more of an idea of the best way to get something out of these guys?
Oh,
it's a tough spot.
Yeah, stay in the forward line and don't end up in the fucking back pocket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone else think, though, when you see Owies there, and I don't know if it's because, like, Terry will know because he's interviewed him one-on-one, his journey is so obscure. Like, 1 minute you're playing basketball in a backwater town in the States, then you come back home, and literally you're probably on the list probably a year too long, let's be honest, based on his VFL form. Then he's broken in. I've always been a big fan of Owies because I think he holds it together, because I actually think his level of maturity is 1,000 times over Motlop and Durden at the moment. Do you think that they seem to play better when Owies is in there? Is he maybe kind of the leader of that forward line for the Smalls? He's the role model and the benchmark. Terry, what do you think? Because you've interviewed him one-on-one.
Yeah, no doubt. I think he's an interesting case study because he's learnt how to be a professional athlete in the collegiate system in the States. So that's where what he has above most of the athletes in the AFL. Not many have gone through the pathway that he has. My perception of him has always been he's just a pro at what he does, and he's one of few on the list that has gotten incrementally better every year they've been on the list. So, yeah, when you look at our forward line, I mean, not to say that this is our forward line every single week, but we haven't got a leader down there, do we? A real leader to patrol. I remember bringing in McGovern to the club. I think part of the rhetoric around that was a senior head that'll help Charlie and Harry develop. Obviously, McGovern's now a backman. Yeah, it's a gaping hole for our forward line, and it has to come from within. It has to be Charlie or Harry or Jack Silvani, dare I say it? But I think right now, Owies probably is one of the leaders down there, especially for the Smalls.
I think it's interesting. The forward line's probably the one spot we haven't injected any external experience into. Obviously, the back line's full of it, the midfield's full of it. That forward line, they're all either really inexperienced or have been losing for the first 100 games of their career. So I think there's probably something in that. Owies is probably one of the more experienced players in that spot, particularly in the Smalls. So, I mean, I'm a big Owies fan. I love him. He'll feature in my side. I can tell you that much.
You know, it's one of them left field things, and I think Terry hit it on the head. The collegiate is so American sport. They're reared from like 14 to be pros, so they have to mature quicker. But I also think it helps him that he's not a number, because I don't think there's any expectation. So I remember doing videos with Terry and people going, "Who's this Matt Owies cat? Oh, he's dog shit in the VFL." And then suddenly he came into the system and he was good. I think he's maybe had that benefit of no one expects him to even play a game. And he's got that mentality of he just wants to play his role, and he's not like very good at anything, is he? Matty Owies is a guy I like. He's not a great goal kicker. He's not a great forward pressure player. He's not very quick. He's not great at marking. He's just very good at everything. He's got all the bare skills. And I think it kind of helps him that he doesn't have an expectation. He's happy being the glue that holds them together.
Yeah.
I think sometimes our Smalls can have like they don't almost want to take the moment. I feel like sometimes they're very team oriented and they don't just want to go for goals. Like I think Fisher at times is a big proponent of this, but Matty Owies, what I love about him is it seems every time he gets it, he's wanting to kick a goal and he wants to take that on. And that's probably something we miss, and maybe why some of the other Smalls play better with him, because he's taking that on and then maybe forcing these guys to do that as well. But yeah, I think he's probably the one that stays deeper and actually, wants to take the goals on, whereas the others sometimes can be a little too selfless.
I think he's that lovely 6 out of 10 player that we lack a lot of in the group. Yeah, it's one thing. And I think there's two things that I really like about him. And I know they're so simple, but one, he's a lovely set shot. I love his set shot. I love his routine. And I love he's got that innate, well, not really innate ability, but he's got that will to want to hit up that little dart inside forward 50 that fucking none of our half forwards or small forwards ever want to hit. He's always looking to bring teammates into it as well. So, and his pressure's good. I think you'll see a lot. I think you'll see the forward line function a lot better with him in there this week if they do go to. Well, he's a Monty to come in, isn't he?
Yeah. You'd hope. And I think J-Barb nails it. He does the most basic essential. He stays in the fucking forward line. He's not part of the Zumba squad.
Exactly. Gavin makes a good comment here as well, which is good. He makes space. He always finds space in 450. Yeah, he does it indeed.
Well, I mean, we've heard from Ian. Let's hear from Leg Dog. Look at that picture. Turns me on, Leg Dog. Leg Dog, tell me what were you thinking here, my friend?
Yep, I'll just note this is my fault because I sent the wrong thing to you. Boyd on the interchange is actually Cottrell. So I wrote Boyd twice, but Boyd on the interchange is Cottrell, and he will be my sub. So Into the side comes Matt Owies for Josh Honey. I think that's a pretty straightforward. And Jordan Boyd in for Nick Newman. As I said before, I liked Sam Doherty coming off the out of the forward line to impact in the midfield. I've also chucked Sam Walsh there for the start. I mean, obviously they'll rotate. They won't both be there the whole game. But I want some guys who can do something at half forward. And so far, not many players have done that for us this year. So I just want Sam Walsh and Doherty just go and get the ball at the centre bounces and get it in, because we're really struggling with getting it in, and get it in deep. And for God's sakes, Harry Mackay, please stay near the goals. So in comes Jordan Boyd for Nick Newman. That's sort of a bit of replacement, some bit of pace pom coming out of defence, and then Matt Kennedy stays in the side for Ed Curnow. And again, and I know I feel like I'm bullying him because I love Ed Curnow, but I think I've said this for the last 8 weeks on Teams Pom. I don't really understand why he's in the side. I think we need to. I think having that one more slow player in the team is just not particularly helpful. And I know he kicked a nice goal on the weekend, but I don't see really what he brings. And maybe they're trying to use him as that leadership we talked about in the forward line, but I think we can kind of manufacture that elsewhere. So for the most part, the team's pretty. There's 3 changes, and one of those is forced, which is Nick Newman. So I don't think I think this is a pretty safe team, if I'm being honest with you. I'm happy to field questions, but Owies comes in, Motlop, we got the smalls. I like it.
Questions, gentlemen. Anyone got any questions for Let Dog? Because it's a very bold team selection.
No questions from me.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think my main thing is, like, I do like, as I said in mine, the Doherty half forward mid. Like, obviously we can chuck him back if we need to. We know he's good there, but I like trying to try something slightly different. And maybe that's the experience piece that can be helpful. Like we're talking about an Ed Curnow, and maybe that could be something that helps that forward line. Even though he hasn't played there, just having a leader present, you never know.
What I really like about it is Doc, Walsh. You've got so many rotations. Like, Gav knows I'm a big proponent of half forward. It's where he finished top 3 in the Brownlow. It was the highest percentage of his rest time in the midfield. I like the fact that we've established we've got shit half forwards. I like your team because you've got so much rotation through there.
Yeah, look, that's what I like about it as well. And the guys who actually have a bit of pace. So I don't hate Silvani at half forward, but he makes it work. But he runs like he's in mud, where at least these guys have got some pace. And I keep saying pace, but I just feel like we've been so slow in that part of the ground that there's enough guys in defence that can get the ball out of defence. You know, McGovern's a great kick. Boyd, in theory, is a great kick, and Sard can run. So let's try and move the pieces around a little, because it's obvious, like, our best team on paper should be really good, but our best team on the field hasn't been really good. So maybe we just need to move a couple of pieces around. And that's one thing I thought that worked last week. And I think Kennedy clearly deserves to be in the side as well. He was probably one of the best on last week, and he played for a quarter.
It is a shame that the game's not origami and it's played on paper, isn't it? Because I tell you what, we wouldn't be so depressed. But I mean, I like your team, Let Dog. Thank you very much. The chat seems to like it as well. And we come on to my fellow corporate shill, Paolo.
Yes, sir.
Paolo, talk to me about the team changes.
I've got Honey, Ed, and Newman coming out. Now, I haven't gone with Boyd, but I would like to see him. If they do go that way, I'd be really happy for him to come in. What I've done is I've shifted Doherty back to halfback, thrown Kennedy in for Ed Curnow, and played Kennedy on the ball, because I know Doherty's been playing, and he started on the ball a handful of times over the last couple of weeks, or since he came back in. So I've got Doherty shifting back to halfback in replacement of Newman. I've got Kennedy coming in for Ed Curnow, and I've got Matt Owies coming in for Josh Honey. So it's more those names coming in, and then just Kennedy coming in and shifting Doherty back, but still rotating through the midfield, if that makes sense. But I know I don't have him on the emergencies there, but I wouldn't mind if Boyd was to come in, and I think they might go that way, but I wouldn't mind to see them throw Doherty across half back again, if that makes sense. So that's how I've looked at it. Maybe because I know Boyd's form has been pretty good in the reserves, but maybe I think we might get a little bit more out of Doherty off half back. That's just my frame of thinking anyway.
Mate, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Hewitt's Boyd because you're another one who doubled up.
I think Hewitt's Kennedy.
Hewitt's Kennedy. Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, Hewitt is Kennedy. So Kennedy in the team across. So Pitternet, Chera, Kennedy, and Hewitt on the interchange bench. So my actual interchange bench itself is Cottrell, Hewitt, Durden, and Kemp. That's my actual interchange bench, and my emergencies for whatever it was were Ed, Fisher, Honey, and Binns. But that could also be Boyd as well. So.
One we
And
haven't
what-
really spoken about, guys, but I think is on the cards is a Holland's rest at some stage, particularly with
maybe.
Cottrell coming back.
Maybe, potentially. I don't. Maybe they will, but I don't think they will purely because of his. He doesn't. Does he really look? Does he look jaded? I don't think he does.
No, well, I actually
Yeah.
thought his last quarter was his best quarter on
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
weekend, which
He had 10 and a goal. I think keeping him in the side. I mean, 10 and a goal in the last quarter. I think you just want to keep up that momentum and get as many games as possible into him. So maybe they bring in Cottrell for him. Don't know. I don't think they will, though. I don't think they will.
yeah. I guess the point I'm trying to highlight more is that we've probably got a couple more options on that wing than we had 4 weeks ago when it was Akers, Hollands, or bust, basically.
Yeah.
So particularly with Binns playing well, and you've still got Lockie O'Brien as well. But yeah, just flagging it, gentlemen.
Mate, I think any other questions, gentlemen, and any questions in the audience, boys and girls?
The other one I think that we really need is I really want Cottrell in this team. I really, really want him in this team. I think he's just so direct. He's a danger across goal as well, and I think his running power is what we need too. And yeah, I think he's a lovely kick as well. So I'd love him in the team. I think his form in the VFL warrants it. He's had a lot of impact at VFL level, and the one thing that has been positive for him is that he's hit the scoreboard, which is really something we need, I think. So I'd love to see him in the team. Really want him in, actually.
Gentlemen, the injury list has come out, and the only one that would potentially impact our selection is Tom De Koning should be available coming back from that concussion. I still wouldn't have him in my side, but if anyone wants to note that, he should be available.
No,
Marchbank Martin still not available.
VFL for mine.
No, thanks.
Agreed.
Nah, give him a couple of weeks. Just on Cottrell, I think that I love that he has that ability to lead up and take a mark, which we've seen at certain stages. And then he is a nice set shot as well. Just another element that maybe our half forwards have missed. Like when you think of an Ed Curnow, he isn't really that like lead up type. It's probably a bit more of that like Jack Silvani in a way of being able to mark the football, but he's got that pace that Sauce doesn't. So I agree with you, Paolo. I think the Cottrell's would be a massive in, and this is maybe like a little stupid thing, but he just does bring energy around the group because he's a bit of a nutcase. And sometimes when you're down and things aren't going well, I don't know, maybe sometimes you need that 1% of just someone next year. I don't know if that'll actually do anything, but it's an interesting one from a big Matty Cottrell.
Yep.
I love it. And Mr. Terry, we've been talking about Cottrell. You're one of 2 people to select him in your 22. That's a clue for my team. I like this team. I looked at Terry's team, and this one gave me flutters. Talk me through it, Terry.
I loved when Paolo had Doherty back as well, because that's what I did. So this was my thinking. Our backline, our half-backs, don't think quick enough. Doc is a quick thinker and a quick thinker to get the ball moving forward. So assuming Newman won't play, Doherty's going in the back half for me. Cottrell, very similar to what Paolo said. He's direct, a better kick, has shown that he can hit the scoreboard as well. So I want to see him on the half forward flank. Who's the other one? Oh yeah, always will come in. That's clear. I think the guy that's been playing his role up until now just hasn't been able to get it done. So he'll just slot straight in there. But I didn't feel that we got enough from Doc as a half forward. I know he kicked a goal early in the game, but I don't think that's the move personally. We already have an issue in the forward third with kicking accurately, and I don't think Doc is the answer. But I do like the fact that we tried it. For this week, I prefer Doc in the back line. I'm also a little unsure how they'll match up, the Dogs. Like, will Jamara play? He's a test. He did finish the game last week. They've got Lob. They've got Norton. They play Bailey Smith on their half forward flank as well. So that might be a job for Doc or Kemp. I'm not sure. But that was my thinking. Doc in the back half, because we need to be able to move the ball a bit quicker with our minds as opposed to our legs, and Cottrell to help the forward third.
Well put.
Yeah.
And you've kept Kennedy in the side as well, Tez.
Yeah, Kennedy comes in. Ed Kerno will be the sub for me.
Mate, I love it. And I think when you're saying about Doc, I'm one of the few as well who put him down the back. My team's coming up, but I agree with Terry here. I think he's got to be down the back. I like Doc forward. I like the idea, but I think in reality, Owies is a specialist in this. And that back line needs someone sometimes just to put their foot through it and make a decision regardless. And I think for me, Sard and Doc, they feed off each other as well in game, and they kind of motivate the rest of them to not do their shopping before they kick the fucking ball.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Why are we so slow to make decisions? I don't understand it, particularly like Jacob Wiedering, who's a really capable footballer. He sits down and does a maths test before he kicks it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I think it's our biggest issue. There's something blocking them here that slows down their decision-making process. And I'm not sure whether it's their ability to understand the game plan or whether they've got something else on their mind that's just distracting them from being present in the moment. I think that's on a high level what it is. They're not able to stay present. It's like, is it the fear of losing? Is it the fear of not winning? Is it the pressure of the external? I don't know. But it's something
the fear of making
internal.
the wrong decision.
Yeah, and they're just taking too long to get the ball where it needs to go.
Feels like we overthink it. That's why I like a guy like Cottrell, by the way, because he plays on instinct. He's not. I don't think there's, in the nicest way possible, I don't think there's a lot going on. He just wants to get the ball forward. That's why I really like it.
There's a few times I think we almost like it's again maybe is that overthinking where I particularly like the tall defenders. I find like Lewis Young does this a lot where it's like trying to catch out the guy who's on the mark, and instead of just going back quickly and getting your 10 meters away from the guy on the mark, he's either trying to catch him off guard or he's constantly looking for Sard. And the amount of times we kind of put ourselves under pressure because immediately umpire calls play on and he's too close to the man on the mark.
Yeah.
And like that's not helping the indecision because now you're just putting pressure that you didn't have on yourself for no reason. And that kind of goes to it. Like there just isn't that calmness for whatever it is. So I don't mind the idea of just chucking Doc back down there. I know like for my thinking, it was try it a little bit for one more game. And with the idea of having for my team, like a Hewitt as the sub was, if something wasn't working and you definitely needed him to be more back, bang, Hewitt adds into that midfield time and it sort of switches around. But I mean, you guys have been nailing the points and I think I'm kind of coming around to it where just like get the calmer heads in the positions we kind of need at the moment and lead it forward from there.
Just say on
Australian back there. So
on Wiedering, I mean, how many times have you seen him mark and then not press back off the mark far enough?
Yeah,
it's like a plague, mate. I see it every week. Not just him. Youngie does it. Wiedering does. They don't back off the mark and give themselves space to open up the ground and have a look for the right kick.
Yeah,
I've got a theory, right? Because we pretty much, I would say more than other teams, we run off the mark. We don't man the mark. Like we give them that 10 meters. I think we do it at training and they just assume that it's going to happen in a real game. I actually think that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I do think when Young gets the ball, you know what Young reminds me? A great analogy of Young is, you've all got that mate who, when you're about 18, 19, you go out on the beers, but when you speak to him without the beers, he talks about the time that he went to the club. He snuck into the VIP area and he ended up going on with 4 Victoria's Secret models. And he had a fight with 6 barbarians outside of a kebab shop and knocked him out with one hit. But then you go out with this guy and you go up to a group of nice girls and he starts to stutter and go really awkward. and it's like a different mate. You just can't see him. That's what Young reminds me of in game situations. He gets the ball and it's like, you know, he can do it, but he clams up. He gets worried and he makes silly mistakes. Like he was obsessed with Saad this week. And I agree with you. We're the lowest ranked team at playing on from the mark, which this time last year we were one of the highest. And I do feel that is a product of thinking. It's obvious the game plan is changed. It's obvious that it's slow, methodical movement, but it feels like the boys have been overcoached to the point of that we forgot sometimes that you've got to give them a bit of trust that they've done the hard work on the track, and the track is where we repair it. But out on game day, you want them to just go out and play football. And if it goes Pete Tong, that's what Wednesday's training session's for.
Yeah.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
That being said, you can pick on me now. So I am the only one to drop Hollands right now. That's probably going to be the conjecture in the chat. So I'm going to defend it, right? As part of the selection panel, I have a duty to protect the players. I look at the next 4 weeks and with the media fans, with the fan feedback, this is going to be fucking a furnace. This is going to be a furnace. So with Matty Cottrell, who's a little bit more experienced, he's been there and done it. I think even though Hollands has done his job and his last quarter was phenomenal, I think you let him leave with that last quarter in his mind, because that's going to keep him raring and hungry. You let him go to VFL for 3 or 4 weeks. We, the men, get through this hard period now, the senior players, and he can have a nice, easy time really refining his craft. And by the by, we welcome him back to the team. It is the set and forget, but I've started to think just outside the box. And I think let's protect him and not give him any complexes of this next 4 weeks. Because if he gets battered this week, heaven forbid, against Collingwood, he doesn't need to be part of the media knives, full of raw. But I brought Boyd back partly for the dot going down back as well. Quick ball movement. He's a good kick, and it'd be interesting to see we lose Newman's high floor and we gain this guy's quick decision making. Cottrell brings in a little bit of speed, a little bit of intent, and I think we need a little bit of directness. He ain't scared. Silvani and Motlop, I've moved Motlop to high half forward and told Durden and Owies to stick around Charlie in full forward. Aside from that, not much changes. My bench will be Kennedy in for Ed Kerner. I think Ed Kerner's just wandering around, and Owie is a better version of Ed in the forward line. Kemp, Walsh, Chincotta. My sub for this game will be Zach Fisher. Thought 40 touches in the VFL was good. It showed him he was way too good for the level. And I would be quite happy, 20 minutes to go, throw him in, Zach Fisher, and say, right, mate, high half forward, make something happen. Make something happen. And either way, this game, whether we're winning or losing, I think it's a suitable thing for him. Carroll would be my other option for the sub, for his versatility. But that's my team. Come at me with why did you sack Hollands?
You've explained yourself pretty well, Pommy. I like the whole Motlop high half forward, Owies and Durden deep. I like that.
Yeah.
Needs to happen.
My only thing is, I'm just mindful. I considered bringing Boyd in. My thing that I'm mindful of is having Boyd and Chincotta in the same team, in the same back line with Kemp already there. I don't know. I didn't feel confident with that. With the two of them. I think Boyd, it's Boyd or Chincotta. That's all.
I think I can see what you're saying. I think that Boyd, we lost Newman, so I thought let's see with an extra direct ball user, because I think we all agree it's as slow as fuck, not pace wise, mindset wise. And watching Boyd in the VFL over 2 weeks, although he hasn't knocked the door down where we haven't got any hinges left, he does demonstrate that if he's got the targets to lead up and hit, he's not scared to take the kick. And I like Chincotta because he's got balls too. He's not scared. So I've tried to surround Wheater and Young with 4 people who are going to literally encourage him to play quick. They're going to say, look, we ain't playing slow. It's okay, mate. We've got your back. So trying to just force him to go back to instincts.
Yeah,
I
fair.
guess the question that the real selection panel might be happening, like let's assume Newman maintains his suspension and comes back next week. Are they gonna bring Boyd in just for 1 week? I think for this exercise, I'm still bringing him in, but I imagine if we don't see him, that's going to be part of the thinking for the actual club, because 1 week in, 1 week out probably doesn't work unless they're going to drop a Chincotta or something. But I agree with you, Tez. Well, to a degree, you can't have all of Chincotta, Boyd, and Newman and Sard and Doherty all in the same team. So there's going to be changes there either this week or next week, regardless.
It's going to be interesting because no one's picked Plowman, actually.
No, he didn't
Not
even
for
make
me.
it onto the extended bench this week, sadly.
I did say last week could have brought Plowman in for Charlie Cameron. He's the only one that has a good record on Charlie Cameron.
Got the record.
It might have been right as well, Ted.
He would have kicked 8 last week.
Imagine the turnovers. Goodness me.
Oh, God.
Well, we come to the exciting part now, and I've redefined this to make it easier for you guys at home, but also the chat as well, and also my lovely selection panel. So what I've done is this took a lot longer than usual. I've just literally simply put the differences. I agree with Bugs Bow. It's a shame we can't just say that Plowman is Harley Reid, because he would be quite useful. This week. But, here
Only
it is.
DeConning was a bit shorter. You could maybe get away with it with the hair, but
Yeah, do you know what I mean? You could do. But this is the back line. So what we do from here is every member of the selection panel is allowed to save one, which makes up our back line. And you, ladies and gentlemen, get to name the 6th. We do that for this, the midfield and followers, the forward line, and then we have a little bit of discussion for our 4-man bench and our sub. So let's get straight into it. We'll go top to bottom. Terry, which one of these bad boys are we saving?
We're saving Lewis Young against his old side. Who'll play well and who'll bounce back.
I love that, Terry. Hey, a little bit of romanticism. Where are you playing him? Fullbacks? Centre half back?
Yeah, centre half back. Centre half back.
I love it.
I
Okay.
also think he can go with Lob, with Rory Lob. So there's that.
Oh, I
too.
like that. That'd be a good little matchup as well.
Mm.
I like that. Ian, who are you saving?
I'll go simple and I'll take the best defender last week. Give me Mitch McGovern, please. Just need his ball use out of that defense.
And where are you throwing old Mitchy? Are you throwing him in the back pocket where he hides? You going bold?
Yeah, wherever you want him, he's going to be moving and mobile and nice and getting those intercepts. So yeah, he can float wherever through there.
Hey, you're an easy man to please, Ian. I like you. Lecky.
Mate, keep it simple. Jacob Wiedering, he can play on Aaron Norton or someone like that.
I thought you were going to piss me off like last time where we all agreed to drop Hewitt. And then you
Hey,
decided
he
to
played.
play him.
He played well as well. He bounced back. So great call by me.
Mate, it was just brilliant. It was brilliant. And Mr. Arteta, who are you picking?
Adam Sard. He's got a big role to play on Cody Waitman if he does play.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am going
That's
to
fine.
pick my boy Boyd in my back pocket. So, chat, you've got
Bang.
a tough job now. You have got to save either Kemp, Doherty, or Chincotta. So we've got one for Chincotta.
Ooh.
Andy Hill has said all the names though. I'm just looking through the chat.
That doesn't count.
So
Shane
Shane
Matthews
going
as a
Doc,
doc.
Yeah.
Chincotta. So we've got two for Chincotta.
Richard's gone Plowman.
Oh, Jesus, here we are.
Oh, wow, they're coming
almost
through.
here.
I think he's saving him from VFL so he doesn't have to go to the development squad.
Hey, tell you what, let's get Victor Osherman because Dog is obsessed with pace.
Raphael Leao.
You can't get anyone quicker that way. It looks like it's Doc. So our back line, as it stands, is Jordan
Beautiful.
Boyd, Jacob Wheatley, Mitch McGovern, Adam Sard, Lewis Young, and Sam Doherty.
Love it.
I tell you what, this is controversial. I like it. Let's look at the mids. So these are the sexual mids and followers. And because Pom's a clown, he brought in Cottrell. So that makes it interesting. So, Terry, which one of these miscreants do you want to definitely see in the team?
Cripps.
And I'm guessing his usual centre man position.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to have the
Easy.
Crips bounce back.
Easy. Mr. Ian, who are you saving?
Give me Big Brad. I am too worried that there could be a people not happy with the rucks and there's a Murkov shout. I don't want it, so Pitnet can stay, please.
Not against Tim English. You'll literally eat him alive.
I have no idea. I'm just preemptively because people still don't love the rucks, and I get like the kid outs to advantage. Whose advantage was it? But I think we just need to lock in the Pit is the ruck. I'm too scared.
To be fair, Murkoff was pretty impressive against Darcy Fort. He did pretty good job.
Stop it, Bomb.
You've been saying speed all show, so don't say to me, don't say Murkoff. So,
Yeah, we still need to play a ruckman.
Mr. Leckdog, who are you saving?
Chera, you can put him on the ball.
Oh, okay, thank you. And the beautiful Paolo, who are you saving?
I'm saving Ollie Hollins.
Oh,
Ooh.
Love that.
Throw
now
a bit
you've
of
given me an option.
curveball at you, Bobby.
Now you've given me the option. Do I drop Akers just to be a tit and bring Cottrell in?
Deal with that.
There's a game to do it. If there's a game to do it from, I mean,
Deal with that, Pommy.
I will save. He deserves to play, so I'm saving Kennedy, and I'll play Kennedy with Mr. Hewitt.
So giving Chat the hard job to pick the other wing, are we?
Okay, so chat, your options to save are Akers, Cottrell, Hewitt, or Kennedy. I'm not sorry, I've did Kennedy, so there it is. I've left Akers for you guys.
Yep. Akers, Cottrell, or Hewitt. And is this the wing position?
It is, yeah.
Please don't put Hewitt on the wing, Chat.
Well, it looks like Akers is winning by Flemington Straight. We've got 2, but yeah, Akers is coming in. Some are bringing in Cottrell. I tried, chat. I tried, but Paolo's horrible. You know what I mean? Historically, the Italians and the English don't really work well together.
No, we don't. We don't.
So we're into the forward line, and we'll go from bottom to top. We will go, Mr. Paolo. Which of these forwards are you throwing in?
Matt Owies.
Yep.
Matt Owies, where were you playing him? Forward pocket, or are you going to go half forward?
Forward pocket.
I love it. Okay, Leckdog, where are we thinking?
I'm going to put Sam Walsh on a half forward flank.
Ooh, well, Walsh is in. Okay, Ian.
I'm going to save my man Matty Cottrell and get him on the other half forward. Thank you.
That makes me happy that Cottrell's in the team. And Terry, who are you saving?
I'm gonna save. Did we say Charlie?
We haven't said him yet, no.
Okay, I'm gonna save Charlie Curnow.
Best player in the world.
Okay, well, I'm going to save Mackay, which leaves it easy for the chat. Chat, you've got the exciting one. You either save Durden, Silvani,
Or Motlop.
or Motlop.
Oh God!
Who is going to be that final forward?
By the way, Motlop's just started a podcast with the club.
No
for
way.
fuck's
Really?
sake. Oh, God. There goes the form.
There it is.
Another window.
It's called Deadly Discussions.
Hey, a podcast. Hey. You know, actually, I'm convinced, and before we go on, I'm convinced podcast is where Carlton players go to die.
Yeah. Harry.
Seriously.
Oh,
Harry,
bad track record.
Fisher, Gibbons,
Yep.
now Motlop. Fuck, he might not have a touch on the weekend.
Jesus.
Anyway,
I had so much hopes for him.
What a week. What a week. They've announced a player's got a podcast. What a week. What a week.
To tell you what, it's a bad time to do it, isn't it? But, you know, surprisingly, I agree with you, Mon the Jers. Let's bring Ryan Kent in because he's not doing much for us. But it looks like they have gone with JSOS, surprisingly. So we've gone. So we are very bold. Hey, chat, I'm impressed with you lot. You know that. This is how I wanted the show to go. So that leaves us with our pine. That does. All right. So these are your options. So, Terry, we'll start with you. which of these do you want in? So obviously we've got Walsh, Silvani are already in the team. Owies is in the team. Kennedy's in the team. So there's a few options there for you. You could save your boy Honey if you want.
Corey Durden, you mean?
Yeah, I was just winding you up about Josh Honey.
Oh,
You can bring Corey Durden in there.
yeah. I'll play Corey Durden.
So Durden goes to the Pine. So that is Ian. Who are you bringing in for? Who are you throwing in?
Who am I saving? Jeez, this is tough. Gee, there's a lot of names there. This is tough. Actually, looking at that backline, there's a lot of spanners in the works to save. Look, because we've chucked Doc in the defense, even though he wasn't in my team. Georgie Hewitt is going in there with the way we've balanced this so far.
I love it. Mr. Lackdog.
So have we got? This is tough. Have we got? Is Chincotta or Boyd still in the team?
Boyd, I saved him. Chincotta is still available.
And Durden's available.
No, Durden, Mr. Terry already saved him in the defense.
So from last week's team, it's Chincotta. Is Kemp available as well? Jeez, this is tough. I'm going to save Chincotta.
Tell you what, that is tough, isn't it? That is deadly tough. I'm gonna save. Looking at the makeup of the team,
Apparently,
it's tough,
Motlop has signed a 2-year extension while we've been live.
that's good. That's
Good
good
news.
for him.
Start a podcast.
That was part of his terms.
Yeah.
We've got Kennedy in the team. Oh gosh, this is tough. Kennedy. We've got Jason
from last week's team. Who's not in there? Is it Kemp and Hollands
Kemp,
Yeah,
Kemp
and Honey?
yeah.
But we're not counting Honey.
Hollands is in the team currently, I believe.
yeah. Okay, so I've got Kemp in the team. Do you know what I mean? I've got Kemp in the team, which means your sub, right, of the players available, right, chat, is either Binns. We've got either Binns, Carroll, Cowan, Ed Kerner, Fisher, Honey. That's it.
For the sub.
Yeah, for the sub. So, chat, let me know which of them you would like, but then we can show you the team. But we've built the chat's going Binns. Tell you what, we've gone really. You know what? I've never wanted to be this guy, but we have gone full pace, chat.
Fisher, Binns. Looks like
Quick question for the panel and probably those listening as well. For the sub, I don't feel like we've really nailed it down as being super impactful. Probably Kennedy's been the most, but it's mainly been because we all think he should be starting. And apart from that, we've had O'Brien. We haven't really had like a real, yes, we can really utilize and bring someone on that's going to maybe slightly change the game. Is there anyone that you can kind of see at the moment? Maybe it's fully fit. Maybe it's right now that you are eyeballing as this guy could be a really smart tactical sub for us, because I'm not sure we've really got the best out of that sub so far.
I think Fisher is a great shout. I think Fisher, Cottrell, someone like
I like.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I think Fisher is perfect of them names available because I think I think he's fresh. He'll take the game on, and I would think. Don't know what Terry feels like. He's the biggest Fisher fan, but I think Cottrell used to annoy the shit out of me when he was in the VFL team because he was totally different to what he was in real life in AFL. But then he had that game where he came on with 20 minutes to go and he just ran and took the game on, and he's never looked back. I feel like Fisher needs that 15, 20 minutes, zero pressure, go out there and have fun, and then it jog again in his head.
Well, I think we've, I don't know if we've intentionally done this. We appear to have dropped Motlop after signing him to a 2-year deal. So just noting that, looking at the team.
Oh, no.
Well, chat, This is your team. Boyd, Wheatery, McGovern, Sard, Young, Doc, Akers, Cripps, Hollands, Walsh, Mackay, Cottrell, Owes, Kerno, Silvani, Kernet, Kennedy, Chera, Durden, Hewitt, Chincotta, Kemp, with your sub being Zachary Fisher. I actually, you know what? It's quite sexy, that.
It is. I would probably, in the hindsight of looking at the team, have selected Motlop over Chincotta, probably. But I think broad strokes were there.
He's kind of on the cusp, Motlop, isn't he? Though, like with his form.
I mean, he hasn't been great.
Yeah.
If you were to save one of, I know we're kind of gone through it, but like if it was Dern or Motlop, you can only choose one. Who's it going to be right now?
Motlop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm Motlop too.
Yeah, I guess that's tough because we think Owies is gonna. We're hoping Owies unlocks both of them, right? Like,
yeah.
They haven't given us much though, have they?
No.
I enjoy that. I mean, that could be an interesting. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I can see how that makes sense though, as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though that's not my selection, I look at that team and I actually just think you could see how it would work. And it's a bit of a lesson as well, isn't it, to them? I mean, it's that's our team though, chat. I enjoyed that.
Yep.
Very good.
All right.
I think someone said in the chat, mate, that's what you get for starting the podcast, mate. Straight out. Straight out. There you go, Darren.
It's funny. You all mentioned him doing the 2-year deal and then the podcast, and everyone's forgotten about him and dropped him. Imagine that's a lesson to Carlton players, isn't it? But anyway,
Motlop out podcast.
Only time we could record. Like it's a big business.
Do you know what I mean? It's quality though, chat. Thank you very much, chat, for sticking around. To Terry, make sure you go and subscribe to Blue Abroad. You'll see everyone that you see here is regularly on there or swings around. So make sure you go on there. It's fantastic content. If you don't do that, you're a clown. When you've done that, go to the Navy Blue Corner. Ian, he's the main man there. Him and Lockie, they're a wonderful podcast. They mix positivity with good sense of humour. They're great blokes as well, and they're always up for a gaggle, and they don't take themselves too seriously. Leg Dog, you'll see with me on Blue Abroad regularly, but you also see him on Jock Reynolds' on Jock Reynolds' podcast. Jock Reynolds' podcast is famous because Leg Dog's there. If you play Supercoach in Asia, it's actually called Leg Coach because that's how good he is at Supercoach. And Blue Abroad, and he's also started a new podcast as Paolo. It's not just on SEN. Yes. Talk to us about your new podcast and where they can find you, because you're doing that with a very good-looking individual called Adrian. So talk to us about...
Yes, the Weekend Grill, at Weekend Grill number 6, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So get around that. Jumper Punch will be on in a minute and a half time, so get on that too. And we've got a little thing at SEN as well, which we'll be recording tomorrow as well, a little Carlton podcast that Nick Negroponis and I have been putting together for listeners of SEN too. So I'm all Carltoned up at the moment, which is probably why the blood pressure's gone through the roof. But we'll be there on Saturday night, like we always are.
You and Nick, that is a real meeting of minds, that I can tell you. So make sure you go and check that out on the podcast world. You know where to check me out, though. I'm here on Pommy and Oz. I am on Blue Abroad as well. Thank you very much for sticking around. I love that team. This is my favourite time of the week. And thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next week.
Hooroo.